Hello, and welcome to the Floating Monastery. One day, young Cathbad was meant to be doing something really rather tedious and really rather long and really rather important, but very, very dull. And it was a warm day, and the sun was in the sky, and his feet were just not stoppable. And he had to follow them, because if your feet run away from you and you can't follow them, then you'll be left without feet, and what good will you be for anyone? Or maybe that's what he reasoned when he got up and he walked away from his house and he walked down to the seaside. Now the Machar there is beautiful. There is the flat, wiry grass, and it's just down from the peat bogs, but you can walk down onto a really sandy beach. And the sand is made from lots of little shells, and sometimes you can find the shells. And then if you walk along a wee bit and then hop over some rocks, then you come to another beach, which is beautiful golden sand. And as you walk along it, then suddenly your feet start to sink in it. And the first time it's a little bit unnerving, but after that, it's fun. And then if you walk along a little way further, you come to a small promontory, a bit of rockiness that sticks out. And that day, young Cathbad, what he did as he was walking along was to pick up some mussels, pick up some cockles, just find the sort of things that are lying around, and pick up some twigs as well, because they're handy. And he had with him a wee cauldron, a pot, not much bigger than this one perhaps, but he had a metal pot, which meant that he could hang it over the fire on a bent stick, and he could light the fire using the sticks that he had and a flint and steel that always he has with him, because you never know when you might need a fire. And then he could just boil the water in the pot and it would evaporate, and then you'd boil it again, and maybe do that 2 or 3 times, because while you're lying there you're not paying that much attention to what's going on, because you're so busy paying attention to everything that's happening around you. The birds in the air, the waves, the sun in the sky, the feel of the grass between your fingers, the smell of it. So young Cathbad had a wee thing to eat, and that was great. And then after he'd eaten, he had a wee rest. And after he had a wee rest, he looked up again, and he realised that the bit of land he was on was no longer attached to the land he'd come from. He looked around and he realised he was on a small island, and the small island was now utterly surrounded by sea, and there was no way he was going to be able to cross over it, because, well, you might have a small channel between you and the mainland, but the water can flow very fast through it. It didn't really bother him much though, because, well, he knew that the tide would go out again and he'd be able to walk home. He didn't have any water with him, well, not any water for drinking, so he was going to be thirsty, but, well, there was nothing he could do about that, so he settled down to wait it out for the night. And as he lay down, he noticed that seals were coming out of the sea and crawling up along the sand. And the little ones were fine, they were great, they would crawl up and just bask there, and he was lying really still, so they didn't bother him, until a great big bull seal crawled up, reasonably close to him. He was a little nervous, but not worried, not afraid, because, you don't bother them, they don't bother you. And then the seal started to make moaning noises. Not just the normal blether of seal to seal, and that can be quite noisy if you've got a lot of them in an island. But, I'm not going to do the noises, but can you imagine a seal moaning and complaining and grunting all night? It was bad enough that it was an uncomfortable place to sleep already, But with this seal next to him, moaning all night, it got him really frustrated. So he turned round and he said, "Oi, you, seal, shut up!" He must have got some sleep because, well, when he opened his eyes, he could see that the tide had gone out again and he could walk ashore. So picking up his can and his bits and pieces, he wandered back across the shore, and on his way back he collected some firewood, because one way to smooth over any complaints at him having left earlier and gone away and not coming back all night would be to at least turn up with his hands full of something useful. And early in the morning, if he arrived there before everybody else got up, well, he could light the fire and cook the breakfast, and all, he reckoned, would be well. After all, it wouldn't be the first time he'd gone away for a walk of an evening and not come back until the next morning. Thing was, I have heard that years later, young Cathbad was talking to an old fisherman mending nets. And that old fisherman, well, when they'd been talking, he told him the tale of him as a younger lad going out and sleeping on the island. And the old fisherman kind of looked at him and said, "You'll have not been afraid of the seal, would you?" And young Cathbad had gone, "Oh no, he was fine, I was fine. We weren't bothering each other." And the fisherman would have thought, "But you shouted at him." See, here's the thing. Those old seals, all that raw fish in their mouth, they don't have anyone to brush their teeth or to get rid of it. So if one of their teeth goes rotten, then all they can do is wait until it falls out. So he was probably in pain with toothache. You should have comforted him rather than shouted at him. And that was an insight for Cathbad. And he went away, being a little less quick to shout at people after that story. But yeah, this is just one of the stories of young Cathbad growing up. If there's a story you would like me to tell, or if there's someone you've heard about from any of the span of history, then let me know. I'll have a look into it. And if it's a story that fits with my mind and the way I tell stories, I'll get around to recording it one day. And if it doesn't, then I'll thank you for the opportunity to expand my repertoire and expand the knowledge of things that I wouldn't go looking for otherwise.